in 2017. So I'll now call the panelists, Mr. Pierre Danginou, Mr. Akinori Maemura, Mr. David Conrad, Mr. Alain Durand, Mr. Yaovi Atohan, and Mr. Bob Ochen. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. So to start off the ICANN panel this morning, I want to introduce the ICANN team on the panel. Right from my extreme left is Yaovi Atohan. He's a member of the African team. And then David Conrad, our CTO. And then Pierre Danginou, who is our VP for Africa. And then Alain Durand, who is also in the office of the CTO, works with David. And to my immediate left is Akinori, who is a member of the ICANN board. So to start off, I want to invite Pierre to make a few remarks, and then invite Akinori also to make a few remarks as well. So Pierre, over to you.
Thank you, Bob, and good morning to everyone. And welcome to this ICANN session, where we really intend to, I would say, report briefly back on the main achievements, since we do have what we call the Africa strategy, which is a kind of contract, I would say, between Africa and ICANN, where we managed to deliver a few, I would say, projects and programs that are meant to build capacity in Africa, and also make sure that Africa participates, in ICANN and in ICANN policy development. The thing is, we do have here a panel of colleagues, who came all the way to be at IIS, and also they are going to contribute, substantively on some of the sectors or some of the issues that ICANN deals with. And it all boils down to capacity building for us, especially when we are dealing with Africa. So, of course, it's a conversation that we will be introducing, and then we'll be so happy to interact with you through question and answer session. We're also happy to have one of our board members, who is around, and thanking him for the interest for Africa. And of course, now I would like to give him a few minutes to just also for his remarks. Having been here for the whole week, having assisting to most of the sessions. I think Akinori has also things to share quickly. And before we now run the different slides that we had prepared for you. So with that, Akinori, please.
Thank you very much, Pierre. Good morning, everyone. My name is Akinori Maemura, one of the board members of the ICANN. I spent one full week here in Nairobi and participate in AIS Afrinic meeting. And then and this is my first time in either AIS or Afrinic meeting, and I'm very happy to be here. And then what I observe here is the African internet community is really tight-knit, and then many people are quite usual faces, and then organizations around the internet is really closely in touch, and that's something I learned, and then which I admire a lot. So here in Afrinic meeting AIS here in Nairobi, I brought some part of our organization. First of all, we have the African team headed by PL, and then I saw, they're so, they're so capable to good friend with the community, and then I'm really impressed to organize the meeting quite effectively and efficiently. Then another part of the ICANN is the Office of CTO, led by our CTO David Conrad, and then we have ICANN is a part of the internet coordination in around the root DNS zone, and then in cooperation with the other technical committee like Regional Internet Registry, CCTLD managers, ITA for the standardization, we are coordinating the internet and realize the sustainable operation of that. These days we have the quite important phase in our part of the internet coordination. Then David and Alan Johan from the Office of CTO want to share with you our concern and the very important point of the technical coordination of the internet. And then also we all would like to hear what you think about this issue and your concern and your interest. So this is just a 1 hour session, and then we stay here until the end of the session. So please come up to us and share your voice and opinion and make a question, whatever. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kinori, and let me pass it over to Bob to take us through the rest of the.
Okay, so thank you very much. So we'll start with the first slide deck that we have, which will be a brief update on some of the key initiatives or projects that we've been doing this particular financial year, FY17, that is coming to an end from our circles by end of June. And I want to invite Yauvi to take us through those slides.
Thank you, Bob. I just have 3 minutes to present briefly. And the Africa strategy, we talk a bit about it during the ICANN Day on May 27. So I'm just here to highlight some few achievements. So the 2 major objectives in the Africa strategy is about the development or transforming the DNS. If you assume you have a small DNS industry, transform it. And also promote awareness and participation. So we have 2, so the DNS industry and the participation in the strategy. And as we said on Saturday, this was developed by the community, and also now the team, the DSC team in Africa is trying, with your help, your assistance, to implement this Africa strategy. So the fiscal year is ending in June, and then we'll have a new fiscal year from July. 1st of July, we'll have a new fiscal year. So this fiscal year is ending at the end of this month. So what we want to highlight in the implementation of this strategy are capacity building activities. One of the key projects in that strategy is the DNS roadshow, because through this document of strategy, the community wanted to people to be more confident using our African CCTLDs. So one of the projects through this strategy was the DNS roadshow. So during the fiscal year, we were able to have some activities. We had a roadshow, it was not mentioned there, in Togo. We have one in Lomé, in Benin, and also in Chad. So through the DNS roadshow, ICANN is working the CCTLD registries, also with the local community on awareness, and also to guide the community and the technical as a team in the registry for the implementation. So that was also one key activity during the fiscal year. We had also some webinars, so we'll put more detail on the slide for you. So this webinar were opportunity for ICANN staff and the team to share information with the community on some key events or discussion topics. So we had some few webinars, and we have some participation, but we didn't have really good participation in these webinars. It's an issue. I'm sure most of the participants, some of the participants are not on the African mailing list yet. So we will call you to be on this mailing list, the African mailing list, which is, we can access this mailing list, subscribe through the Afrinic website. So the mailing list is hosted by Afrinic. So we are sharing a lot of information from there. We had also workshop. So one was for the GAC members in January in Nairobi here. So all the government representative ministry, so people were here for sharing experience and know more about how they can be more involved in ICANN. We have also a workshop for the law enforcement agencies, also in Nairobi. That was also one key activity during the fiscal year. And then also other capacity building. We are having now internet governance training workshop for French-speaking countries, because this is also a request for the community. People who are speaking only French, they are able to attend this workshop every year for training. We also supporting AfriSIG, Africa School on Summer School on Internet Government. So we used to support this one, and we did the same during the fiscal year. And then the IDN workshop, we organized one in Ethiopia to support the panel, the generation panel in Ethiopia. And then also we had one during AI Summit on May 28th here in this room. So these are the workshops. So these are the key capacity building. So in addition to that, we have global outreach. So we want the community to participate. So it's important to help this community to better understand what ICANN is doing. So we are doing this through global outreach. So like when we have academia, higher education institution, research institution meeting, so we use this opportunity to do outreach. So we are involved in Ubuntu Net Connect, so for the East and Southern Africa Research and Security Networks. And then we have the WACREN for West and Central Africa Research and Security Networks. So we are able to be there during the meeting and then discuss with the academia. Also, some universities, we are doing some direct outreach with some university, like in Nairobi, in Uganda. We went to some university to talk directly to the student and also to the lecturers to share with them. And also, in June next week, we'll have the 14th General Conference of the Association of African Universities. So ICANN will be there for outreach and also to discuss with the academia. So these are also the key global outreach. Again, the government, during the workshop in June, the team is trying to engage, to have the government more involved in ICANN activities. And also, now we are also focusing on law enforcement agencies We are working with them, the regulator. So in June, for example, this month, we are planning again a workshop for law enforcement agency in Joburg. So other main initiatives are the IGN, for example. So we discovered through the workshop on Sunday that is very important. We have a lot to do in Africa for IDN, and we have seen a lot of commitment from the participants to make African languages special code point or characters included in the repertoire for the Latin scripts. So we have seen a lot of commitment from this. So this is the IDN program, the international domain name, which is not the content in our script, but the domain name themselves in using the script, the character in the Latin script for that. And then we have also what we call the support to the community. Like, for example, we have supported AFRALO, which is one of the regional organizations, the at large for Advancing for Africa, to attend this. We are supporting them to attend this AS meeting. And also what we are doing is we are going to also help NCUC in the Joburg meeting. So I'm just going to talk briefly about the DNS market study, which was also one main activity during the fiscal year. So the study is also part of the implementation of the Africa strategy. So the request for proposal, after ICANN announced that one, we had some application from companies and SCACF was selected. The study was launched, and the draft report was presented in Copenhagen during ICANN 58. In the process, we had a public comment period announced, and then we had some comments, like 11 comments. So it was not really enough from the community, from the whole community. So now the staff report was produced by May 19, and then after that, SCSA team is now finalizing this report. We are glad that the team from SCSF is still in this meeting. So please, you have the opportunity, even the period will close, maybe you can talk to them directly. If you have some, they are finalizing the report, so the report should be available by the end of this month. So if you have this last slide, you have more information, anything you want to discuss with the team, you send an email to query.nairobiec@icann.org, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Yao V. Presenting a whole financial year in 10 minutes, unless it's not very easy. So quickly moving on, I now want to invite David Conrad, our CTO, to briefly talk about some of the initiatives that ICANN is doing on cybersecurity. So, David.
Thank you. I'm David Conrad, ICANN CTO. It's very nice to be here. I actually have one topic in particular to speak to, and that is the KSK rollover that is in process. I guess we can go to the next slide. Oh, I do that. Huh. Maybe. There we go. So ICANN has been involved in trying to get DNSSEC, the security enhancements of the DNS, deployed for some time now. DNSSEC actually fixes a bug that's in the DNS protocol that allows basically a man-in-the-middle attack that would enable cache poisoning and that sort of thing. This was a fundamental error in the original DNS protocols. DNSSEC was an enhancement that was added later. To deploy DNSSEC, there's actually two related efforts. One is to sign zones, to put a cryptographic signature attached to DNS data on the authoritative side, and the other is to actually check that signature. ICANN has been working to increase the deployment of DNSSEC signing across top-level domains. Right now, About 90% of all top-level domains are signed. The vast majority of those are the new GTLDs, new generic top-level domains, because it's a contractual requirement that they have to be signed. But a large portion of the CC, the country code top-level domains, have also been signed. If you notice on that map that's displayed there, Africa does not have a good penetration of DNSSEC signing for the CCTLDs, and that's something that we're trying to work with the various CCs in the region to improve. We also have observed that about between 15 and 20% of DNS queries are being checked, the cryptographic signatures are being checked, so that indicates that a good portion of the DNS infrastructure is being protected, but there's clearly a lot of room to grow there. So we're actually going to be changing the root key. What does that mean? Well, the way DNSSEC works, there is a top-level key known as the key signing key that is managed by ICANN, and the public part of that key is put into every resolver that does DNSSEC validation. Current estimates are there are about 100 million DNS resolvers, of which the estimates are about 25% have enabled DNSSEC validation, and of those, a good portion are running older versions of software, we believe. We actually have no way of verifying how many resolvers out there are both validating and running older versions of software. The private part of the KSK is actually used to sign something called the zone signing key, which is used by VeriSign to actually sign the root zone. This enables a chain of trust that allows validation to work. A new key has been created. It was created about a year ago and has been, about 9 months ago, and has been copied to both of the key management facilities that are operated by ICANN, one on the east coast of the US and the other on the west coast, and is now in the position to be used. And we intend on using that key on October 11th, 2017. This is a sort of important date because the resolver operators after this date must have updated the root key in their servers. If they don't, all the lookups will fail, and we'll see, hopefully not, headlines. Whoops. Oh, I keep forgetting to do this. There we go. There we go. Headlines along these lines, which would actually not be a very good day for me, and we know it's all about me. So, come on, there we go. Fortunately, yes, people not updating the key would be bad. It would mean that resolutions would not occur. But the internet is not completely doomed, at least because of DNSSEC. Most modern resolvers can handle the key change automatically. There's an RFC 5011, that describes a way of handling keys automatically, and all recent versions of validating resolver software supports RFC 5011. ICANN has actually produced a test bed that allows resolver operators to verify that their resolver operates using 5011 and can update the key automatically. And if you are using DNSSEC validation and are running a recent version, then I would recommend you look at that URL and engage in the ICANN testbed. For the folks who are not running later versions of resolvers, the only thing we can really do is implement a communication plan and try to get the word out that the key is going to be changing and they need to update the resolver. So part of our communication plan is to speak at venues such as this and reach out to network operators, network operations groups, industry groups, RIRs, governments, anyone we can think of. So what are we asking? Well, if you are a resolver operator, that is, you have a DNS resolver, and you have the ability to change its configuration, then we recommend that you test to make sure it can handle, well, first make sure DNSSEC is turned on, and if it is turned on, make sure you can handle the change of the root key. If you have not enabled DNSSEC validation, then we would suggest maybe looking into doing that. If you enable DNSSEC validation, you have the ability to protect against a particular attack, and it is true that attack is quite rare, but it is a known vulnerability, and as other systems get locked down more tightly, then the bad guys will undoubtedly look at taking advantage of the lesser known attacks, such as DNSSEC cache poisoning. But in addition, there's some new features in DNSSEC that actually help protect against a class of denial of service attack. The technical term is NSEC aggressive use, and that's currently being tested on a number of resolvers. If DNSSEC is deployed and validation is turned on, it actually provides for an infrastructure that will allow for the deployment of a more secure version of the public key infrastructure, the things that are used to protect web communications, for example, or email communications. Right now that uses something called X.509, and a lot of people have become concerned that the top-level infrastructure of X.509 may not be as secure as one would hope. Well, not so recent now, but examples of compromises of the X509 infrastructure was a company called DigiNotar in the Netherlands that was completely compromised and invalid certificates were issued. One of the advantages of DNSSEC is a more granular model of trust associated with the public keys and a more open and transparent way in which those keys are actually handled, which would alleviate some of the concerns. If you're a network user, we would suggest that you contact your resolver operator and see if they have turned on validation and if they are prepared for the key change. And if you're a government or regulator, ICANN will be sending out a letter in the very near future that will suggest asking the same question as A, have you enabled DNSSEC validation? If yes, are you ready for the key change? If not, perhaps it's worthwhile looking at turning on validation. For more information, we have a dedicated webpage, icann.org/KSK role. We have social media, Twitter for the hashtag key role. We have a mailing list for old folks like me who don't do Twitter. We have a support line. You can ask questions to globalsupport@icann.org with the subject line KSK rollover. And we have these sorts of events all over the place. So with that, I will be happy to answer any questions. And no questions. Thank you very much.
David, actually they have questions. They are just writing them down, so please be ready. So I'll encourage you to list your questions as the presentations proceed, because we'll have time to just now take your questions to the different speakers. So at this time, I want to invite Alain to talk about something that I'm sure some of us have heard about. Maybe some of us may have not. I want to leave it to Alain to introduce it. Thanks, Alain.
There you go. Good morning. So my name is Alain Durand. I work in the office of the CTO at ICANN in the research department. And part of the things we are doing is to look at new technology and how they could impact our ecosystem. So today I'm going to talk about DOA, for Digital Object Architecture. And I would like to ask you, how many of you have heard about the word DOA? Could you please raise your hand if you have heard about it? Like one person? Two, maybe? Do you know exactly how it works? Not really. And that's actually why I made this presentation. I asked the same question. Last time I presented this at the RIPE meeting, and it was at the cooperation working group. It was a room full of people. I asked the first question, how many people have heard about it, and everybody in the room raised their hand. I asked the second question, how many people know what it is, how it works? Nobody raised their hand. So this sometimes is kind of like the ghost ship, you know, we've heard about it. So let's dig into this. But first a disclaimer. This is in no way an endorsement of the technology, right? The aim is to bring information to the community and understand what it does not, and how it relates to things that we know like the DNS. So with this important disclaimer in mind, this is what we've done. For the last 2 years, we tried to look at this, and we had a number of interactions with Dr. Bob Kahn, who is actually the inventor of this technology at his team at CNRI, and we have been running this in the lab. So we have been finding a number of things, and every day I dig further, I find some new interesting tidbits. But the real caveat here is that finding documentation is really, really hard. There was an original version of a protocol that was documented in some IETF document as RFC 3650, 51, and 52. But they documented an out-of-date version of a protocol. The one that is running on the wire now is a different version. And I know that because I essentially run an analyzer, a traffic analyzer on my network, and I figure out that the number of the version is different. So how do I know what they're really doing? Well, the only way I found is to go and ask the authors what they are doing. So the result of that is it's not easy to differentiate what is in the technology, in the protocol, from what is in the implementation that is available. And it's even more difficult to find an interoperable implementation. So we have essentially one implementation that we found. So what is this? This is essentially a distributed name resolution system. So it's a federation of local name authority that do local name resolution, that associate a name with something. And that something could be a complex thing with an index series of user-defined types. This is not a directory. This is not X500. This is not LDAP. Why? Because there is no search service associated to this. So you cannot say, give me all the records that start with an A. You cannot do that. You simply can say, oh, there is an object called, for example, Alan, and give me whatever is associated with that object. This stores data about object. This is not something that enables communication with a physical device. I mean, it has nothing to do with routing. So sometimes how can DOA help with mitigating IoT device problem? Well, the answer, it can't, because it's not part of routing. It's just like DNS in that sense. So, as I mentioned, this was a technology invented by Dr. Robert Kahn at CNRI. There are multiple names that you can encounter. Handle system first came out in 1995, so it's not exactly new. DOI for Digital Object Identifier. DO8, Digital Object Architecture. DONA, the DONA Foundation. All those names essentially refer to the same thing. So who's using this? We have found 3 use cases for this. One is in the publishing industry. Just like an ISBN number is a number associated with a book, there is a DOI identifier associated with a publication, being books, articles, and things like that. The TV and the movie industry, like in America, there's the MPAA, that is the Association of Movie Industries, use this technology to catalog assets. In Germany, the Max Planck Institute is using it to catalog experimental results. So what you see in a common theme here is that this is used to catalog a large number of things. The key aspect that is promoted by DOA is about persistence. And their claim is, well, in the DNS, there are many studies that point out that URLs, links, they break very quickly. So if you look at things that are more than a year or 2 old, most of the time they will point to broken links. And DOA aims at fixing this problem. So the typical case is, let's say a researcher works at a university A, he publishes a paper, and he wants to publish a pointer to his paper. If one day he moves to another university and have to move all his paper, he would like the reference to his first paper to sum up, follow with him, and point to the new university. So if you simply point a URL to first university, it's not going to work. Yes, that's true. However, you don't need DOA to fix that. The researcher can have a domain name on his own name and publish a publication there, or use any kind of URL redirects to do the same thing. What I'm trying to point here is that the notion of persistence doesn't really have anything to do with the technology that is underlying the resolution. It has to do with the way you organize information. If you organize the information along enterprise boundaries or university boundaries, organizational boundaries, when those boundaries will change, this organization will break. It's just normal nature. Now, if you organize this information on something that is not tied to organizational boundaries, there's a higher likelihood that will stay persistent. So that's actually why in the DOA environment they use numbers instead of names, because numbers are not really tied to organization the same way that names are. There's not this semantic overload. So what does a DOA or handle looks like? Well, it's a bunch of numbers separated with dots. So like we have one for the ICANN, is 11738 is a number. 10.1038 is another number. 20.500.1234 is another prefix. So the total syntax is a prefix / a local name. So an example, 11738/ITHI. Actually, this is a pointer to a URL, to a web page that I maintain on my Identifier Technology Health Indicators project. Another example is a pointer to an article that is in the Nature journal. So those are actual examples of real DOA handles. How do you register a DOA? Well, you register them to what's called an MPA, a multi-primary administrator. There are a number of them that exist. There's only one that we know is really operational and accepts registration from anybody in the community, which is the original one, CNRI. There's some cost associated to registering a number there. The governance of this is done by the Dona Foundation, that is established in Switzerland, and has all the intellectual properties associated to this technology. The foundation assumes a number of roles. It assumes the role of evolving the protocol. So if you compare this to the DNS role that we know, this is the same as IETF. IETF evolves the protocol. Assume the role of policy development. For example, who runs an MPA? What are the rules associated with running an MPA? So this is similar to what ICANN does on the DNS. It's established policies about top-level domains. The Dona Foundation also runs the Global Handle Registry, which is the root of the system, which is again equivalent to a combined role in the ICANN world of the root zone maintainer, the root zone distribution systems, and the root server operators. So the Dona Foundation assumes all those roles. The way it works is a little bit opaque. For example, I was mentioning there's a list of 7 MPA, but some documents mention, for example, that ITU is an MPA, some other documents mention that it's not. It's very hard to actually figure out. If you go to their website to try to find information, there's unfortunately very, very little that you can find there. There's an MOU that has been signed between the foundation, Dona Foundation, and the ITU. ITU provides some secretariat function for them, but most importantly, in case the Dona Foundation were to fail, the ITU will have the power to reconstruct it. And there's a little bit of questions about how this will work and actually what this will entail. Will everything go to the ITU in that case, or will the ITU simply be in the process of handing this over to somebody else? A lot of questions are being asked. So from a technology perspective, this is very much like DNS. So in the original design, let's say you're a client and you want to find resolve an object, the first thing you do is you try to go to this global handle registry and you ask for where is the server that is handling all the local objects. So you ask where is the prefix. So you go there and the global handle registry will tell you this prefix is at a certain location. And you can go to that local handle registry and do the final resolution. So this, very much like DNS, so it doesn't use port 53, it uses another port number, which is 2641, and in UDP or TCP, just like DNS. And can also do this on port 8000 over an API in the JSON format. How do you discover the root servers or the global handle registries? Very much like DNS, where all the clients need to be seeded with some hints to go and find the IP addresses of those servers. How does this scale? Well, the first thing they created was those MPAs or multi-primary administrator, and now there's another layer of interaction. So you go to the global handle registry that points you to an MPA, that then points you to the local handle registry. This is fairly new, so we started last year. Scaling inside of a local site, that's why there's some novelties. You can point your object to different sites that have exactly the same copies, so site 1 or site 2. So that's not different from having DNS secondary servers and primary servers. But inside of a site, you can slice the data. And so if you have a very large database, instead of having it on one server, you can slice it and having it on multiple servers. There is a hash function that does that, and the client has to know exactly the same hash function that the site has been using to go and make this resolution. So when the client wants to resolve an object, what it does is perform the same hash function. Well, first decide which of the 2 sites or 3 sites you're going to, then perform the same hash function, and then it will be pointed out to the particular server that has this bit of information. This is somewhat interesting, but the fact that the client and the server need to have the same hash functions with the same parameters is a little bit brittle, because if the function has to be changed one day, that will create some interesting coordination problem. Very much like DNS, all this is validated with a chain of cryptography elements that start from the root. Now, unlike DNS, and unlike what David Conrad just explained a few minutes ago with the KSK rollover, there are no provisions at all in the DOA system to change the root key. There's no automatic ways. So if one day they were to change the root key, then every single client and every single server will have to go and manually change the key. I'm going to skip this one. Yeah. Very few, very few clients, DOA clients exist. It's not supported in any operating system. It's not supporting in any browser. There used to be a plugin that you could get into the Firefox browser to resolve this thing. And they use the syntax HDL:// and the handle behind it. First of HDL:// was never standardized, but more, this plugin doesn't work anymore because Firefox changed APIs and it's not supported anymore by the DOA client. So, because now there is no way to resolve those in any distributed operating system or any browsers, the recommendation made by the Dona Foundation is if you want to resolve a handle like this, go and use the web, go and use DNS, and use this as a proxy. So for example, now you will use HTTP:// the name of the proxy / the object. And the DOI Foundation and the American Psychological Association, for example, have recommended to not use the native syntax, but to go use this proxy. Now, this has some implications, because when you use a proxy, whoever controls the proxy actually has a lot of information. In particular, it has all the resolution history. So in some places, it's not a problem, but in places where privacy is an issue, this is a huge problem, because whoever has access to the logs of a proxy can know exactly what you have done. So, to compare these things, essentially, this is very much like DNS. We can go in some details here, but at the end of the day, the main difference is it's on a different protocol, It's not implemented in many places, so it has some deployment issues. But the real strength of this is this notion that you can have persistent identifiers by using a numbering scheme instead of a naming scheme. So instead of having names that are tied to organization and organization boundaries, you can have numbers. And the idea is that the numbers will be still relevant in case an organization changes. So if I have a number 11, the fact that I work for ICANN today, or I may work for another organization, maybe Afrinic in another year, I will still have a number 11, and that still represents me. So I think that's what is the interesting part of this technology. So I'm running out of time, so I'm not going to go through all the details. The slides are available. If you have any questions, please contact me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alain. I'm sure questions are going to follow. So I want to have a few minutes for questions from the floor. And maybe I could start by my own question to David on KSK. David, so what does it cost to be compliant? Maybe you want to start with that amongst the other questions that will follow. So who has a question? Okay, so we will start from this side as we go this way. We'll take all the questions and then we'll respond to them as we close. So I'll start from the back, yes. Yeah, I think you can come to the mics.
I can't work. It's working now. Okay. Hi, my name is Mahmoud Abdurrahman. I am from Somalia. I work for a telco operator based in Somalia. My question is, when I came here this morning, I was looking at what's happening in the event, in the session. I thought we were going to talk about a lot of strategies on Africa. So the strategy that I see here is mainly focused in terms of DNS area, but what I was also thinking about, what happens to the connectivity and getting the unconnected connected within Africa region, and also are there targets and measurements for you? You don't talk about any measurements or any targets. What do you intend to do for the next 2 years or year or so? And also, I wanted to check, there are a number of barriers in terms of connectivity in Africa, which includes power, connectivity, backhauling, and monopoly. Is there any strategy within ICANN itself to address those issues in Africa as well? Thank you.
Okay, good morning. Christian Bob, speaking on my own capacity. I have a few questions. The first question I would like to ask to Akinori, as a ICANN board member, concerning the post-INA transition, like the perspective for us in Africa. What can we expect? And the second question I would like to ask to Alain Durand, just to make sure that I understand very well his presentation. Because sometimes when you do a scientific publication, the paper, they normally give you a DOI. And now you talk about DOA. I just want to get the difference between these two initials. And for Yaovi, okay, your presentation was also focusing on transform DNS in Africa. I just want to, because like as you say, your financial year you are closing it this month, right? I just want to know if you have some statistics, like in terms of your achievements for this project, because we have noticed that the DNS market Africa is not as it should be, right? Because we are lagging behind if we compare with other regions. Based on that, what is the statistic you have, and also what kind of suggestion you can give us in order to try to fill the gap? Thank you.
Thank you, and in the interest of time, I think we can take those questions. So I want to start with, my question was the first one. So David, 1 minute to help us with.
Sure. The costs related to being prepared for the KSK role are most likely largely already spent if you have enabled DNSSEC in your resolver. If you have enabled DNSSEC in your resolver, the costs are primarily associated with verifying that the rollover will actually work, and using ICANN's testbed as a way of verifying that. The testbed is obviously free, so there's no additional cost about that. In the context of if you have not enabled DNSSEC validation, there would probably be some operational cost associated with turning on DNSSEC. It does require a little more work. You have to be prepared for the key rollover. Turning on DNSSEC validation is an operational change that would have to be pushed out to all the devices on all the resolvers, at least on the network. And that may entail some configuration costs, but those costs are relatively minor. The other potential cost, if you do enable DNSSEC validation, there are occasions where people misconfigure on the authoritative side the cryptographic signatures, causing domains to sort of vanish off the internet from the perspective of people relying on a validating resolver. Most modern resolvers include something called a negative trust anchor, which allows you to operationally insert an exception to validation to allow for misconfigurations on the part of the authoritative side to still not impact the operational access to those domains. And dealing with that tends to have some costs associated with it, but it's a relatively minor cost, and people are getting better at not messing up their configurations when they sign their zones. So all in all, the costs associated with enabling DNSSEC validation and being ready for the rollover are relatively small, speaking, in comparison to the other operational requirements that network operators, resolver operators already have.
Thank you very much, David. And I think I'll ask Elaine to also very quickly respond to the DOI versus DOA.
So thank you for the question. From a practical perspective, that's the same thing. From a theoretical perspective, those two things are different. DOA is an architecture, and DOI is a specific instantiation of this architecture for the purpose of the publishing industry. So those are very, very fine lines. In practice, this is exactly the same technology that's run by the same people. The name is different, that's it.
And I will show you that after this session, how the difference is realized in practice. I want to invite Akinori to respond to the...
Yeah. Thank you very much, Bob, for the question. Post-transition scheme of the IANA is quite running well. The very short answer is that there's no problem. And then another, a bit longer, for example, for the domain name, the proposed scheme of the customer standing committee is already running very smoothly and producing the monthly reports. And then any reports is right now, resulting in the satisfactory performance for the IANA function. And then for the numbers situation, numbers function resource review committee is the newly developed stewardship scheme for the numbers services. And then they are now in the phase of the establishing their working method. And then that is quite impressive to observe that they believe in the simplicity, and then to have the running it really, lightweight manner. And then the discussion among the review committees are quite active and favorable. For the accountability mechanism of ICANN itself, we are now having the first case of the revising the fundamental bylaw. That's actually kicked off by the board's intention to reorganize the board's committee. Right now, the board governance committee, it's a small part of the board members are dealing with not only the internal structure of the board, but also the independent review panel and the reconciliation request review of them. Then we are now separating this BGC into two and establishing a new board committee, which is the Board Accountability Mechanism Committee, which will take care of the IRP and the reconciliation request and the review of that. So this formation change require is stipulated by the fundamental bylaw, and that's require the empowered committee's approval. So this is the first case, and really favorable case, because it is not really substantial and not really controversial. Then just for the empowered committee to review the board's proposal to change that scheme, and then to have the board approval. So it is now being handled by the empowered committee and the designator or the participants from the SO and the AC. So all right, that's all about that. And again, including that, the very simple answer is that's running smoothly. Thank you very much for your question.
Thank you very much. So in the interest of time, I want to ask Pierre now to take the question from our colleague from Somalia, and the other question from Christian, as he makes his final comments and close the session as well. Pierre.
Thank you, Bob, and thanks all for your questions. Specifically as regard to the question posed by a colleague from Somalia, of course, ICANN is not in this sort of remit or power or connectivity, issues in Africa. This is not at all what ICANN does. What we said earlier on was that ICANN, while it's about coordinating these unique identifier systems, but of course, whatever we are doing, yes, we agree with you. Connectivity is an issue, but it's moving ahead. Africa is being surrounded by more than 15 submarine cables, and different technologies are increasing connectivity in Africa. So one would just expect that this continues. No, what we do is build capacity, at least support efforts, into understanding how the DNS works and securing the DNS, and also make sure that Africa be part of the whole policy development, process. What about the future in terms of what we've been doing in Africa? Of course, we are still going to deliver, some of those projects, but we are not going to do this, apart from what I might say, the corporate, move. A board member just mentioned, the whole what we are doing now in terms of, the empowered, community. So definitely, we will be promoting more knowledge, about this, and then more participation from Africa. Make sure that you are part of those different working groups or those new structures that are being put in place, so that you, as we said, one of the objectives, being to make sure that you amply participate, into ICANN's remit. So no, I think in terms of statistic, yes, you are right. We've been doing a few things. You will be sharing statistics because all of this is posted on our website. particularly on the domain name, or sorry, on the market, that the study that's being finalized right now, we are conscious that there's going to be many statistics there, but also that study shows a few challenges that we face, in the course of that study. Meaning, how do you really collect data, and that they will tell you, and you will see this, the experts in the room, they had many issues, in collecting data in Africa. But at the same time, our objective is to kind of design and implement, what we are calling an observatory, for the DNS in Africa. We'll be doing this, in partnership with different others, and that's also is a way for us to kind of help support, the necessity of statistics, in Africa. So, yeah, that's what I could just say quickly, and I'm certain we are eating now the sessions in the time. With that, thanks so much. I think what we did quickly was to report back on the African strategy, but also we had a call for action, by David. It's high time that we consider, these validating resolvers, and knowledge sharing, information that we had, from Alain on the DOA, I think is important, and I'm certain that Alain needed more time, for this, and this also is a call for action again, that we are planning to hopefully start something which is bigger, which in terms of engaging with the academia, with the research and development in Africa in that regard. And we are blessed to have our board member here who can also, he's still around. If you want to know more about, what we are doing, where we are heading in terms of, the post-IANA icon, it's quite important to follow those things. Well, with this, I think I would like to, again, thank you very much for attendance and also for your questions. And yeah, hand it over to Bob. Anything, any information? Yeah, maybe just to invite you all to our next ICANN meeting. It's going to be in Joburg, end of June, 26 to 29. We'll be also having a pre-event from 23rd to 24th. It's about law enforcement, agencies. We are going to be dealing with parts of, cybersecurity and all of this. And also in July, we are having this DNS forum in Africa. It's going to be in Tanzania. And this is our annual forum on the DNS. It's quite important that you participate, but I also believe that there's remote participation facilities there. Okay? Thank you.
So thank you very much. Maybe a round of applause to our panelists. I hand it back to Vimala for the next session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. So the next session is on internet health indicators in the Afrinic region. I'll call our registration service manager from Afrinic, the only Madvigo Kul.
Good morning. Madhvi Goku, Registration Services Manager at Afrinic. I apologize for there was a mistake in the title. It's actually Identifier, Technology Health Indicators. It's a short presentation, and what we will be talking about is, in fact, the Identifier Technology Health Indicators initiative or project that was initiated by ICANN. And the goal is to develop metrics to measure the health of the Internet's unique identifier systems. The Internet number registration, the registry system, is one of the Internet's many identifier systems. And the RIRs, Regional Internet Registries, we agreed to facilitate the development of such metrics, okay, for the area where we are the experts we deal in. The registration services staff of the 5 RIRs have been very busy since last year when we were tasked to develop the initial ITHI strategy and draft the metrics for the Internet number registry system. This initial set of metric definitions can be used as a basis for community consultation. So the way we went about addressing this was we'll sit down and put down, brainstorm about the initial definitions, okay, and risks, okay, and document them in a draft. This has been completed. And now what we're looking at and busy closing up with is the internal RIR review, where the reality on the ground is all RIRs manage their registry independently. We have common grounds, yes, but we each have our own set of rules. For the purpose of this project, we're coming together and trying to propose something that works for all of us, instead of having 5 interpretations. So we're working internally with our teams as well. And as per the plan, the release of a discussion draft to the community, our community for consultation, is expected to be completed by the end of Q2. And by the end of Q3 2017, we're planning to finalize the ITHI metrics document. So we had to define the scope, and the metrics for the measurement phase of this project are to include all Internet number resources that each RIR administers, and these Internet number resources are included in the NRO extended delegated statistics. What we have excluded from this are those Internet number resources that are reserved by IANA for the technical community, special purpose, and future delegations. So, accurate data, we define accurate data as being comprehensive, correct, and current. So what we have come up so far is, can we zoom the slide, please? Is a set of definitions as to what we understand by comprehensive, correct, and current, okay, in our definition. What? Okay, they can't zoom this in. All right. So in terms of comprehensivity, okay, what we're looking at is the data complete, okay? Are all of the data required available? Are they registered? Do they appear in each RIR's extended stats? And then that these extended stats contribute to the NRO extended delegation stats. And we've also identified some measures. If you're not able to view it on the screen, I'm having some difficulties as well. But I will share the presentation later on our website. And yeah, so basically we've been able to define, we've been able to look at what we can measure. We've also looked at what are the KPIs that we can set regarding the measurements. And some notes are that the required resource holder data that we're talking about in this table here, okay, some of them are contact information of the of the holders of the resources in our registry, the contact information, like physical contact information, personal, the contacts, the people that are administrative or technical contacts of the resources. We're also looking at, we do due diligence checks before issuing resources to our members, for example. We validate the legal name that they give us against the documentation that they supply as well to justify, there's a sort of checks that we already do. So all of these are included in the metrics. So, and also what we'd like to point out is these are measurement data that we would actually have or perhaps enhance in future so that, because accuracy of the registry is one of the objectives of each RIR. And the fourth element here, the definition of recently, differs per RIR. Okay, so our measurement would be based on each of the RIR's defined practices as per our own approved policies and procedures. For example, we've had to, this year, at Afrinic, we consider information, contact information, to be updated if they have been validated as correct or modified in the last 12 months. So I'd like to thank you for your attention. Once we move ahead with this project, community consultation may happen, and we would like then to have your inputs and participation in that. Thank you very much. Do you have any questions?
Okay, thank you. Christian Bob speaking on my own capacity. I just want to understand, maybe this question should have been asked after you release the report to the committee for the comment. My understanding is like this project, we want to make sure that our WIS database is accurate. Is it correct?
Okay. At RIR level, we have projects that ensure that our WHOIS database or our registry, because we have more information than the WHOIS, is as accurate as possible. Yes. Now, this is an ICANN project. So what we're doing at each RIR level, we felt that we can contribute to this project as well. So the things that we're working on, for example, the measurements that we're talking about, these will be we will be doing the same measurements at RIR level, like at Afrinic. Because then we would contribute the data to this project as well.
Okay, which means that every area will bring its data, like into some what we can call like what I can put it. Okay, it's like you have an intersection of all the area that will bring the data, and ICANN will use it as a matrix to check whether the ecosystem is correct.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Check is not the right word, but it gives us an idea
of
as to the health of the internet ecosystem. It will be merged with, for example, Alain is standing behind you, but it will be merged with the measurements of the other, for example, the health indicator of the domain name system, for example, in ICANN's project. Yes, Alain.
Yeah, so Alain Durand from ICANN. I'm a person running this project within ICANN. Mm-hmm. It just fell on my lap, thanks to David. First off, I would like to thank you. It's a lot of work that you guys have been doing, and I really appreciate your help on this project and the collaboration that we have had so far. Now, to add a word to the question that Christian asked, the whole project is to look at the overall health of the unique identifiers that ICANN helps to coordinate. So they are names, numbers, protocol parameters. So what we have done is essentially delegated to the IR the portion of the project that deals with the numbers. And NRO representing the IRs have been looking at this and decided that they wanted to focus on the accuracy part of the registry database. On the name side, we have actually 5 different tracks. One is on the accuracy, and the second one is on abuse. And we have another 3 tracks that will be developed at a later stage, but we are going to focus on both accuracy and abuse. Now, the question that I had for you, and the reason why I came to the microphone is, could you say a few words about how you're going to involve the community into participating into the work that you have been doing so far?
That's a tough question. Okay, the RSCG, the work that when we'll complete it, we would actually submit them to the NRO EC, and then we'll act on their guidance in regard to how our community will be engaged. I've understood so far that we'll have could be a common consultation, but I don't have the details. So what we can do is maybe once we have the progress, we'll definitely be updating you, Alain, as the coordinator or the project manager of the ITI project. Okay, but we'll keep you posted on that. Unfortunately, I don't have the information.
Thank you. I will be looking forward for this input.
We will. Thank you. Any other questions? No? Okay, I thank you for your attention. It was quite a short presentation. And enjoy your tea break and the rest of the event.
Okay, so we now break for coffee, and I want you back at 11. There will be a drawer, and you may win an iPad. That is how I make you come back. But it's true. So, okay, we'll enjoy our coffee, come back at 11, and then we'll finish by 12. So, enjoy your coffee. The coffee break is at the Boma Inn Conference Center.
Can't you feel that bass drum beat? Dance to the music, turn it up, it touches my soul. DJ, turn it up, wanna dance to the rhythm, turn it up. Turn it up, it's DJ.
This is what music is all about, and this is how to make people scream and shout. Get them grooving, get them moving, breathe, stretching and shaking. Get some booze and get them drinking. Turn it up and let's stop dancing, cause it's okay. Cause I look so fresh and clean, or more. And I've just seen a girl who's coming home with me. Chipo, ka akili ni nywele, I'm a freaking genius, Afro. And I got a beat by Provoke, I love you man, no homo.
The way that it touches my soul. DJ, turn it up, wanna dance to the music. Turn it up, it touches my soul. DJ, turn it up, wanna dance to the music, 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 the music.
So welcome back, everyone. As promised, there will be a raffle by the FABS, Footprint African Business Solution. So they will be giving an iPad as a raffle. I'll call Cathy. Who will be the lucky winner? And the person has to be in the room. So we will continue picking up the name until the name of the person come out from the room. That is why it's very important to attend the last session. Okay. Okay. They're still having tea. Okay. We'll just wait, maybe after the session, so that it fills, if you want, at 11:30. I'm interrupting. Let's say 11:30. 11:30. No, the session will start. Let the session start. Jean-Christophe. Okay, what I will do is I'll ask Jean-Christophe Finidori to come and to present on .post, the next generation postal network, and then we'll have some more people coming in the room. Okay? After Jean-Christophe. So I'll make you stay in the room.
Thank you for the teasing. It's a great way to bring more people into the room. My understanding is I'm between you and the big lottery thing to win an iPad. Very, very fortunate for the lucky guy or lucky woman. I'm Jean-Christophe Finidori. I'm working for the UPU, and I would like to thank you for the invitation and for getting me the opportunity to present you the .post and the .post group. And I'm sure it will be very beneficial because after me we will have a speech, a presentation about Africa, and I'm sure that you look all to hear about that more. For linguistic diversity, I already checked that with the translator. I will deliver my speech in French. It's going to change. It's going to be a little more fun. So please grab your headphones. Et pour la partie francophone, eh bien, ce sera pour vous plus à l'aise. Je vous remercie beaucoup. L'Union postale universelle.
The UPU, for those of us who do not know us, we are a UN agency, the agency that brings together the postal sector, 193 countries, and our members are countries, regulators, and operators. The UPU had this idea if getting an extension, this is .post, and this project came up in 2000, in the year 2000, and we applied to ICANN. We negotiated a contract which was signed in 2006 and was signed in 2009 December when official delegation was created, and the Postal Congress validated it in October 2012. So that's 4 years before it was came into operation. Why am I telling you all these? So that you understand that we understand that we are a sponsor of ICANN, which gives us some special recognition. The information I want to give you is this special function that we have that tell you a little bit how we work. Africa can get from this experience, and also see with you how we can position the postal sector, the postal operators within internet and the DNS market. Dot Post and Dot Post Group. We have a specificity within the United Nations that we integrate a number of structures. We have our members, and as I said, the members are countries, and through countries we have regulators and postal operators. But we also have something that makes us special. We work with private sector actors from the postal services, logistical services, ICT services. So they can be, they can become our associate members. This is very new, and also on the UN level and also on the UPU. So we try to go further to tell people that beyond Dot Post, why it's important to actually seize these opportunities and to have postal services within the DNS, and to explain to the internet actors that the post is an important actor, especially in the far-flung areas, rural areas, and I discussed with a lot of you, and I've understood that we are going to create synergies. We are going to collaborate for the benefit of the postal sector, but also for the internet sector. Dot Post was created to have this special function of postal services on the internet, and also to be the facilitator to integrate a certain number of technologies that the postal operators share, and to facilitate this transposition on the internet. So our members, we develop different services, and we have this idea. And what makes us strong in see how we can put the postal services within the digital economy without actually creating revolutionary tools, but rather seeing how we can work together. There's already networks that are existing. How do we fit within this particular network to benefit the internet users, to make sure the internet users benefit from postal services? Just to show you our members, as I was telling you, we have 193, and we are an independent organization. We have governments, regulators, and postal operators. We call upon them to come together to work, as you can see here. So this is one of our strengths, but actually trying to satisfy the needs of different countries, from the United States, Italy, and Malawi, Kenya, Cameroon. These are very diverse needs that we have to deal with, but this is what actually makes our strength, and we try to communicate these within the UPU. Within this, we have a steering committee that's made of 7 members who are re-elected last year. We hold an annual general assembly with our members. Why am I telling you this? Because there are a certain number of names that you know, and we also have the opportunity to have 2 CEOs of postal operators. When you talk about this internet, DNS, DNSSEC, it's very important to have these kind of people within our organization. If it's if we can explain to these CEOs the interest of what you can do, opening up to other sectors, to other industries. These are the CEOs rather are going to listen, and we also have 3 members from the African continent. All right, very first, I would like to tell you that here, what was hard, and I'm sure that other people faced these challenges, is that to understand the needs of the users, why the importance of registering DNS on different post.com and all that, why it's important. We have these difficulties I was telling you to actually satisfy diverse needs. So we tried to see how we can adopt a coherent and common approach with regard to the services that we can provide, and how we can work within this to have this idea of a coherence and to have a common vision. Other actors within the postal sector understand these very well. I'll take an example of Tunisia. And the CEO told us that .post is a window of opportunities to work in collaboration, apart from the single identifier, how we can bring about new services, how we can become a registry, how we can satisfy the diverse needs, the country codes, for instance, how this can open new perspectives with regard to generating incomes. I'm not going to go into details of the group strategy, .post group strategy. I have some brochures, some flyers that I'm going to give you. Why am I telling you this? Is to ensure that you understand how we work within the United Nations, beyond the technical complexities, the difficulties of positioning ourselves and positioning of our services within the UPU. We work with different actors, stakeholders, and it was important to understand how we can provide services to our clients and to ensure that actually all the needs of the different actors were taken into consideration. We brought together our members, we worked strategy or vision. It was presented to the General Assembly, it was adopted, and then presented to the Postal Union Code, it was adopted, and then presented to the Board of Regulators and Governments. It was accepted, and then last year we had the UPU Congress that takes place every 4 years, and to tell people that we have .post, here is a .post group, this is our mission, this is our vision, and help us now to ensure that we get to understand the value addition of postal services on the internet. It took some time, but through our experience, beyond the different difficulties that we came across, I discussed with other managers of other people, and they told us we need to have a clear vision and to ensure that we bring about services that have value-added services, rather. For the forthcoming years, we need to imagine what .post would be in 2012. We started working on this in 2012. It was most of the structures within the internet world try to ensure that all the technological and legal aspects are taken into consideration, and we have a very clear strategy and objectives, and on the right, we have the most important model is this willingness to discuss with the actors of the internet society and see how we can position the postal services. Through dot post and dot post group, we have a certain number of services. As I was telling you, dot post, the contract was signed in 2009, and we started our services in 2012. We signed a legacy TLD. We are former generation DNS. We are not forced to use DNSSEC. We don't need to have monitoring of spams and all that. So these are things that you know. This morning, Mr. David Conrad showed a map where you could see the country codes in Africa, and that where on this continent this DNSSEC has not been very well deployed, and some of the services that we propose is to do DNS hosting. Certain postal operators do it, but we are going to do this for others to ensure they get these services. We work on the definition of services that can satisfy different needs linked to mail and mail address, and two other services is global track and trace services that we are using a lot, and a lot of operators that have integrated this. And the last thing is the postal ID validation, how the postal operators can position themselves as giving a postal ID in working collaboration with their governments. We are also planning to secure postal services on the internet. This is the very essence of these of dot post, and beyond that, I also said that we are also planning to bring together a number of services that are going to be given by the post to the benefit of internet users throughout the world, as well as different countries. Something else, we're going to see how we can put value to the with regard to the using of an idea, a specific idea on the internet to ensure that each extension is unique, knowing that once again, what we wanted is not to actually ensure that you are going to give all your country extension.com and all that. What people told us is that they told us, but our brochures, they have country extensions, so we cannot throw away these country extensions. So we have this difficulty, but at the same time, we need to understand and to demystify the first level extension and what this can bring to us. And all the extensions are faced with this kind of difficulties, and I hope that our experience would serve as lessons to others. We set up a certain number of services because once again, we need to satisfy different needs, as I've been saying, and beyond these, most of our members and most of the sectors today understand an extension as you're going to give me to register domain name on this extension, but what are the services, the value-added services that I would get? We had this issue of to give these additional services that are going to ensure that members become part of this post. We can, for instance, give email services. Somebody said 1 or 2 days ago that you understand that we are faced with different challenges, the deployment maybe of IPv6 and all that, and an email address with some technical attributes. It's a very important element for a certain number of countries, certain number of governments, and so it's to these actors that we are trying to bring about these services. The different postal operators in different countries, actually I could say, for instance, in the United States, in Europe, they don't need us, but maybe in Guinea, in Senegal, maybe they need us. And through these dot post, we also need to ensure that we bring together different countries to work on one of the main important elements today, which is electronic commerce, the e-commerce. We've supported a certain number of operators. For instance, at Tanzania Post, we developed their website, Uganda, in Cambodia, we did it in Uruguay. And this enables us to create awareness on e-commerce and also to get the different tools that we use. And we talk to different countries, different members. For instance, the United States tell us, how do I'm going to integrate the blockchain, and how do you go this way? We help them to do this, and then somebody also calls us from Malawi Post, and so this is where we are with regard to the deployment of our email address services, and these are the different services we try to bring. This is one of the projects, the Africa Philately, done by Morocco. I'm going to end by trying to tell you how we can position the postal sector in this area. We have a certain number of ideas because I and my colleagues from the Internet Society, I'm from the Internet Society, by the way. Before working for UPU, recently I was employed by the ICANN at the Brussels office, and so we have this issue, this difficulty of explaining these to the postal operators, but as well the Internet Society, the DNS market, and we are trying to get compromises on with regard to the value-added services that we can bring. For instance, we try to ensure that the postal services become registries, give them a new role on the DNS market. And in conclusion, throughout this week, I've talked to different people, and within the UPU, what we're doing is extremely important to to ensure that the post offices, postal operators become registries, especially in Africa, but also in some Asian countries and in Latin American countries, that they become familiar with these new opportunities, new activities, and we're going to support them in all these. And to conclude, I would like to tell you, how do we work together in a collaborative manner? UPU collaborates with ICANN on a very special project. The Who is Accuracy pilot project. We are service providers with regard to ensuring accuracy within the WHOIS database. So we understood the issues that they were facing, and I believe that the postal network can help here. It talked about how we can use a worldwide network with people who will go left and right to far-flung areas, how to use these opportunities to say beyond this technological securities to ensure that we have some level of trust within the internet, and I count on your skills and we can work together. That's why I came here. But if you have any questions,
I'm here until a little bit late. So thank you very much. Merci encore.
Merci beaucoup, Jean-Christophe.
Thank you very much, Jean-Christophe Fabs.
To English, so I'm going to call Kathy from Fabs to do the raffle. Oh, you have one question, Jean-Christophe?
My name is Monsieur Bajon. I come from Gabon. I'm very happy that people have understood, the postal services have understood that it's important that they go on the internet. With regard to a lot of documents that were used here, you were told different services to provide. You provide us. A few weeks ago in Libreville Court, the magistrates rejected an email because there was no proof that this email was coming from a particular author. How are you going to go about resolving this kind of issues of legitimizing emails that we get through the post? It's UPU. ITU is a different organization. Wonderful questions. I don't have an answer to this, but in UPU, we use the Universal Post Network. We try to put in place standards and solutions to support different operators within their countries. And there are a lot of countries that talk about the issues of sovereignty, and within each country there is different legal frameworks, and we cannot actually replace the existing legal frameworks within the countries, and these legal frameworks can be different in my own country. Even emails, we are having issues, legal issues with regard to that.
Et simplement pour terminer, quand vous parlez
You're talking about registered mail. The first initiative that we try to do is to see how we can put all these, get solutions to all these services, and maybe we are not getting the good entry point. If you want to duplicate something that's happening in the physical world and put it within the internet, sometimes we have these difficulties. We try to do it, but we have not yet found solutions. Technically, it's working, but it does not actually enable us to go about these legal issues. So we try to see how we can use the intrinsic values of the internet, but trying to put everything that exists in the physical world on the internet, I can assure you are going to fail miserably. So we need to actually start from zero. This is going to be a complex process. It needs time and to think in a different manner, to be able to give answers that will correspond to the internet architecture and the physical world architecture. But otherwise, we will not be able to do this. I hope I have answered your question.
So if you want to interact with Jean-Christophe, he's just here, so maybe you can take a coffee and ask him a question. I'll now call Kathy from FABS to do the raffle. And just after that, I'll call Mr. Lucky Masilela to give the Africa journey and launch. So.
So our first winner is going to be number F128. And the name is Max Okoth from the Dexter Creations.
And Max is in the room. Lucky you. And lucky us. Bravo. Thank you, Fabs. For next year, then, maybe we'll win. Thank you. So, .Africa is the generic top-level domain for the African continent. I'll just congratulate for this accomplishment and wish you success. I'll now call Mr. Lucky Masilela, the CEO, to give us .Africa journey and launch. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much for walking this journey with us. Before I start saying anything, can you try something to see if this journey is correct? Type that into your web addresses, into your pages. internetsummit.africa. And tell me what you see. What do you got? Is it resolving? Is it? Should I continue or should I go and sit down? So that's it. I think today we can say the journey has come to the real point where we need to be working, the real point where we need to be sharing. I hope this will work for me today. Oh, please. Okay. could be this way. Yeah. Why .Africa? .Africa, for your information, is a second continental name after .Asia. So there is .Asia, and now there is .Africa. This is a domain name that is very core to our identity, is very core to us as a continent. It is what we would call a continental project. It is what we call something that brings together the continent. It is like building a bridge. It is like building or putting electricity into the continent. This is the importance of .Africa. It has a socio-economic gist to it, that it brings strength into the rest of the continent. It brings an adhesive culturally to us. It assists us to identify in developing something that is common, an identity that we as Africans can share with the world. It brings us closer to the rest of the world. This is how important .Africa is to us. It has a lot of economic value. We need to take advantage of the economic value that Africa or .Africa brings to us. It is our online real estate. Now, having said that, I would like to tell you that to reach this point has not been just an easy journey. It is a journey that we traveled with all of you. When ICANN released 1,000+ GTLDs or geographic top-level domains, we were the ones, amongst the ones that you asked us. You said, go and apply for .Africa. We put a bid, and you stood behind us. You supported us in the bid to get .Africa. We got endorsement, not only from the Africa Union Commission, but we got endorsement from all the 54 countries. We knew that this journey was founded on the OR Tambo Declaration and also founded on the Abuja Declaration. And we had one single thing that we had to do. We should not fail. We were successful, and in 2014, we signed an agreement in Singapore with ICANN, a registry agreement. And immediately when we went back to South Africa, we started working on the pre-delegation testing, getting ready to launch in November of 2014. It never happened. In July, we got a letter that suspend. So we continued with the other names, Joburg, Cape Town, and Durban, gained a lot of experience. That has stopped a lot of projects. It resulted in us having to stop some of the training programs that we had planned. It resulted in us not implementing some of the plans that we wanted to implement in the year 2016. We spent a lot of time in courts defending .Africa. At the end, we spent $3.5 million in defense of this name. So, on the 15th, actually on the 11th February, we published the name on the zone. We were very happy. We got the token on the 11th of February. And what it means for us, that date, 11th February. 11th February 1990 is a day when Mandela was released from jail. After spending 27 years in jail, and this happens 27 years later, that this name .Africa is published on the zone. What a thing. So finally, we got delegated on the 15th of February. Where are we today? Today, we are at the tail end of the sunrise. Sunrise is a process, or it's a phase that is only set aside for your trademark holders. Only entities, companies that have trademarks, can apply during the sunrise period. The sunrise period started on the 5th or the 4th of April, and it ends today, 2nd of June. What a coincidence that I'm talking to you about the end of the sunrise. At 23:59, those trademark holders will then have to go through the normal process, not this preserve. After the sunrise, then we have the early access process, which will start on the 5th of June. We have broken down the early access phases to run per week for the month. So if there are two applicants going for the same name, then that name will go into auction. What does this mean also? It means that the early access is all your premium names, all your brand names, names that have high commercial value. They are made available during the early access phase. Then when we complete the early access phase, which will end on the end of June, 12 June 2017, my apologies, it's 30th June. Then we commence the general availability. General availability means that any citizen of this continent, any citizen of the world can apply for the name. As we talk today about the sunrise phase, which ends at 23:59, we have over 927 applications, trademark applications. Now, let me put this into context. This means that we are fifth largest or highest number of domains applied for during the sunrise phase. Are you with me? Yes. I thought you would clap. I think by 23:59 we should overtake .shop. .shop closed with just above 1,000 names, which was also one of those highly sought names. If you probably remember, .shop was auctioned for 47 million. That name .shop, 47 million, I think. So, these are some of our registrars who are in the lead with receiving applications, and we are really proud of them, and we are going to see a lot more coming towards the tail end. These are the stats just to share you the numbers over the weeks. And now, whilst we talk to these numbers, whilst we talk to .Africa, what we are certain is that we have other set of challenges. We are done with .Africa. It's delegated, it's with us, it's live. But now we need to make sure that these names are accessible. We need to assure that you can get the domain name .Africa. We need to make it possible that registrars on the continent can access the domain name Africa. Currently, it is very difficult as a registrar to get any of the GTLDs. You need to be ICANN accredited. So what we have done, we have created a mechanism to enable the registrars across the continent who are not ICANN accredited to be able to access the names .Africa. Talk to us about it. We'll tell you more about our proxy services. And of course, the next challenge is universal access. New script. This is what our IT managers need to do. They need to configure, in their servers. It's a small thing, but if it doesn't get resolved, it doesn't get fixed, corrected, the domain name won't be able to resolve. Then the third issue is the CCTLD's growth on the continent. We need to ensure that the CCTLDs, there is a huge growth on the continent. We cannot sit back and look at the growth of CCTLD names in countries like South Africa, where they have over 1 million names, and then you look at the next country on the continent, and it has less than 10 names. It is not correct. We need to address that issue. The next factor that we need to be addressing, which is equally related, is price harmonization. The prices currently today are so disparate. You will see in the graphs that I will be showing. Until that issue is addressed, we are going to have a difficulty in amassing the names that we require. Policy harmonization. Policy is very critical. It is easy to have moderated and unmoderated sites. But if we have only moderated names in our countries, we don't make it easy, or we don't have open registration of domain names. Equally, it is going to hamper on the domain growth that we seek to achieve. Now, as I was talking to the problems that I showed, this is retail pricing sourced from domain names or 101 domains. You can see there is a country there that is at $99.9, and then another country on the continent, same name called .ng at $199. And there are worse cases where you would find that the name prices go up to $450. CCTLDs, country codes growth on the continent. Fortunately, these stats come from a study that has been conducted by ICANN. They had given this study to be conducted by an entity called the SA Forum, or South African Communications Forum. And again, this is a picture that needs to be corrected. We can only correct it by addressing those issues, those challenges that I mentioned, that I talked to earlier on. Stats for the generic top-level domains. Again, the source is there from the DNS market study that's been commissioned by ICANN. We have a total of 109,000 across the continent, and we would like to see these names change and be .Africa. Now, for the governments of the continent, or for those entities who are representing governments, you are also expected to be reserving your own names, your own government names, your own country names. And there's a process of doing this, and we encourage you to apply or have a representative appointed who will then identify at least 100 names that resemble your country, that resemble your heritage, that resemble your culture. And those names will then be ring-fenced to be used or to be redeemed at the time when you are ready. And then you also have 20 additional names, offensive names. These equally can be ring-fenced to be redeemed, never to be redeemed, my apologies. Those will never be used at all. They will be locked up in some vault where nobody will have access to. Again, just to explain the process in a pictorial manner, names will always conflict. Countries have names that are very similar. We have, as an example, the River Nile. The River Nile cuts through a number of countries on this continent. Who does the name belong to? Should Egypt claim it? Should Ethiopia claim it? Should Uganda claim it? But of course, we need a formula to do this. We need to think of a formula, either the source or where it ends, or where it cuts the longest. So that is a formula that we have left it to the African Union to address. Sahara, who should own Sahara? It's a desert that cuts across, and there's a company that has that name as its own trademark. So this is why it's important for us to have a system in place to ensure that names do not necessarily get us to go to war because of names. So the Africa Union is setting up a review panel, which when there is this conflict, it will then be addressed in that manner. We as the foundation, as Registry Africa will not be entering into this. Now, the other benefit, besides the first slide where I talk about the importance and why .Africa, the other benefit of .Africa is that in the application, in the bid, we made a commitment that we are going to establish a foundation, a .Africa Foundation. And we are ready to establish that foundation. That foundation is now almost, the policies are in place. The registration will be done in a country called Mauritius. But why are we doing this? We are saying we want to use the resources of the continent to address the continental programs or continental problems. We are saying we want to take the very money that is being collected on the continent to address the issues of those CCTLD growth that is not growing as fast as it is. We are saying we want to take the money from the continental proceeds to develop African content. Until and unless history or content is written in our own languages, we are not going to be able to appreciate our cultures. We're not going to be able to appreciate our histories in the form of internet. So it is important for us that we use the monies that we collect to develop local content. And of course, we are looking to address Pan-African ICT programs. And all these programs will be addressed and driven by individual entities. AFTLD, as an example, is a partner, will be a partner in the growth of the CCTLDs and working with the registrars across the continent. So all registrar programs driven by AFTLD will get a home, will get funding from this. ICT programs, which will be driven by the Africa Union Commission, will also be getting some reserves from this thing. What can I tell you next? We have a model in place for sharing this revenue. When we started on the 4th of April, so tonight when we start seeing the money come into the purses, that money will equally be going towards the foundation. And the foundation will benefit according to a set guidelines. It is not going to be you walk up and you demand and claim. There are going to be guidelines for this thing. And let us respect those guidelines because they have been thought through properly. You can contact me on registry.africa. I have shown you it's live. So if there are any questions, lucky@registry.africa, I'm available. Or you can visit our site if you want to learn more about how to apply, how to onboard to be a registrar. Visit our site at registry.africa. And of course, keep that site on internetsummit.africa. I thank you. I will wait half a second for questions.
Okay, Christian Bope speaking on my own personal capacity. First of all, I would like to thank you for the job done. I'm really proud of what you have achieved for the whole continent. But I have one question. You raised some, one of the challenges is price harmonization. Because I think that one is a big issue based on the statistics you have just shown us. But just to know how can we mitigate the price harmonization? Do you have any suggestion or have you thought of it? Thank you.
Thank you. It starts with the wholesale price. Then it goes to the retail price. The next thing, it also requires a discussion. We need to go or engage in a serious discussion as a continent. In the next month or so, there is this DNS forum that is taking place in Tanzania. I think that is the platform where we need to be discussing the issues of pricing. As long as we do not make domain names affordable on the continent, as long as we do not make the price of connectivity affordable or the cost to communicate affordable, we are not going to be able to address these issues. It is affordability that is prime. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Shion Ojedeji. I work for Federal University of Yekiti. I just wanted to ask, so this is good news. At least it's good that we can go to Internet Summit .Africa and see that .Africa is now for you compared to 2 years ago. Where is the policy side of this? I mean, is there a plan for engaging the community in Africa in the policy development process that will be used to guide how .Africa is managed? And if there is, is there a process for that already? Thank you.
Yeah. Now, the GTLD.Africa is governed by a different set of policies, which are ICANN. which I believe some of you are also authors, or you've contributed to those policies. So this is the first thing. We cannot deviate from those ICANN policies in running operationally the .Africa GTLD. But what we can build, what we can shape, is the foundation. We can make the foundation work for us as a continent. Those pillars, those 4 pillars that I talked to, CCTLD growth, growth of the registrars, the Pan-African ICT program, and the issue of content. These are the issues that we can tweak, build, and improve.
Merci. Je vais parler en français, donc je sais.
Thank you. I need to express myself in French. You can put on the headset. Thank you. I need first of all to congratulate you for this fight, well succeeded, but as well to express my concern for... Yes?
Je suis désolé.
Hello? Okay. Thank you. I was saying that I need to congratulate you for this fight, won positively. It wasn't easy for you. And I need as well to express my concern for the future of DOT country. But I cannot say the generic name with the country in complete format, but the first is the first level name for different country. I can see that your foundation has planned to promote this action. Tell us, how could we promote the both at the same time? This is my concern for DOT Africa and DOT, let's say LG or DOT K or KI. Thank you.
Clearly, the foundation has a lot of work to do. And I believe the foundation will have to call the continent together, and we need to have a dialogue, we need to have a discussion. Not only do we intend to celebrate, but I'm going to tell you one thing. As we celebrate DOT Africa, we intend to celebrate it for a long time to come, because it took us a long time to be here, because we are a 1.2 billion people. We are a people with diverse, rich culture. So what do we want to do? We want to visit each country and have an engagement. And whilst we engage, we want to celebrate DOT Africa. We are going to be carrying that flag into each and every country. And each and every country on the continent, and those who want to participate, who have strong knees like some of us, we will then summit Kilimanjaro. And when we have finished, thank you, we will summit Kilimanjaro. I welcome you all to get ready. And by January, somewhere next year, 2018, when the heads of state meet, we are going to hand them that flag. And we would be also carrying a mandate from the various countries on what really you expect further to be incorporated into what we have in defining DOT Africa and what DOT Africa needs to do. And this is what we're going to be doing as we travel across the countries.
Merci.
I will express myself in French. Thank you very much. My name is Abduladi. I come from Chad. I would like to congratulate you for the official launching of your project also for the creation of the foundation. In your presentation, you talked about names reserved to countries, cultures, and all that, and you said that the governments can choose a focal point that's going to take care of all these issues. For instance, in our country, people do not know about these issues. There are some names that get confused, names of mountains, of regions, animals. So what are the procedures? Does the government send you the list of all of these reserved names?
Very quickly, again, www.registry.africa, all these questions will be answered. But what it is, the focal point will receive access into a name portal where they will be entering all the names that are relevant to those categories that we've referred to. And of course, the trigger point is going to be the Africa Union Commission will be writing to all the 54 countries, the ICT ministers through the diplomatic channel in Ethiopia. So I believe if it doesn't happen, that letter must be somewhere already in Chad, because we already have about 60% of the African countries are already entering their names in the portal.
My name is Vincent Museminari. I'm from Rwanda. And I want to thank you for this milestone you've achieved. And I have the following question. In the past, we had just submitted the list of reserved name list. And I'm asking myself if the government have to submit again this reserved name list. Maybe it's not for all government who just submit the list. For us, we did that. So I want just the clarification on that. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Those focal points in each country, remember we started this process at least 2014, and we were disturbed. And what we realized is that focal points changed. People move from one department to the next department. And when we tried to contact the focal points that were the initiators of this program with us, they were no longer in that department. They had moved on. So your names are still there. They have not been moved. They are still in the database. They just need to be updated, moderated upon, and then you can redeem them as a country and put them into use. I'm told there's only 2 minutes. Say.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much. My name is I'm Olivier Kiomi. I come from Togo. I represent Open Source Foundation for Africa. I would like to thank you for this milestone. A few weeks ago, there was a Wakren conference in Abidjan. There was some website with .eu. This means for Europe, and I was actually surprised for this kind of identity that should have had an African identity. And we were told that the African extension was not operational. So I need to ensure, we need to ensure that we change these. And I heard that you're going to contribute to the content development. I think this is very important thing for us. And if you want to do this, how are you going to do it, and what tools are at your service to ensure this is done?
Mais ils sont pas là. Ils sont pas là. Ils sont.
Dernière question. Thank you very much for this initiative. I have a simple question here. At the global level, did you have some provisions for education and research in Africa in general? If yes, how are you going to ensure that the process at the national level takes into consideration this approach?
Okay. Colleagues, I thank you so much. First, we all need to subscribe to .Africa. It's available, and it's going to be affordable. It's going to be more affordable some of the GTLDs that you are currently using. And those reserves, those revenues that are going to be generated will develop all the programs that we have. We are going to have Wakren.Africa. I think it's there. That name is reserved. So next time around, you are not going to be needing a .eu. You will have a .Africa. Just apply for it. And if you have a pioneer program, if you think you can build the visibility of .Africa, talk to us, visit our site. There's a pioneer program that will be opening very shortly the second phase. And in that phase, you'll be able to apply for a name. And finally, when we talk about content development, we do not have the panacea to this. We do not have that silver bullet, but we are going to be working with you in identifying those programs and how they are going to be done. There are a lot of universities that are conducting research in a number of areas, and we think we are going to partner with those universities, ensuring that this program become a success. Probably one day, we're going to have our own search engine as Africa. Africa, search engine. I don't know, but it is you who will decide what you want and which direction we go. Again, I thank you for your patronage. I thank you for your support. You have been steadfast. You did not waver a little bit when we were being challenged in this .Africa journey, and now the journey has been completed. It is now for us to use this name and use it to the best of our continental growth. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lucky, and I wish you a lot of success. So, the Africa Internet Summit is a multi-stakeholder ICT forum where key players in the internet ecosystem come together to network, discuss, exchange on opportunities and challenges they are facing in Africa. It is organized by AFNOG, Afrinic, and partners, the AF Stars, as we call them. So the AF Stars are African organization in the ICT sector in Africa. We had vibrant discussions during the whole week. One discussion particularly brought passion, the internet shutdown topic. So I will now call Abdallah Omari, representing the AF Star, to read a comment statement drafted by the AF Star on internet shutdowns in Africa. The statement will be up on the Internet Summit website just after, both in French and in English. Abdallah?
Good afternoon. These are comments by F-Stars on internet shutdowns in Africa, dated 2nd June 2017, Nairobi. The F-Star organizations comprise of Afrinic, FTLD, AFNOG, AFREN, AfricaSat, and ISOC Africa, gathered on in the 5th Africa Internet Summit in Nairobi, Kenya, between 21st May to 2nd June 2017, issue the following statement. We are concerned by the increasing number of internet shutdowns ordered by governments in Africa. Internet shutdowns are intentional disruptions of internet or electronics communications, rendering them inaccessible or effectively unusable for a specified population or within a location for specified or unspecified periods of time. African territories accounted for many of the 56 internet shutdowns recorded globally in 2016. We are opposed to any form of internet shutdowns, including those that impact social media sites, entire networks, intentional disruption of internet or mobile application services access, in any context such as elections, demonstrations, or social tensions. Shutdowns offer poor solutions to complex problems and have shown to generate collateral damages on society and economy. Intentional disruptions of access to information were unequivocally condemned by the UN Human Rights Council in 2016. We would like to draw attention to the negative effects of internet shutdowns. Not only do they impact the rights of citizens, e.g. expression, association, access to knowledge and education, recognized both in Universal Declaration of Human Rights and African Charter on Human and People's Rights. They also impact businesses and entrepreneurs. Various studies have highlighted the high costs of internet shutdowns on countries' GDPs. In a context where economic growth relies increasingly on internet access, as reaffirmed in the UN Sustainable Development Agenda, shutdowns can generate long-lasting and costly effects on society and on user trust. We do not think that anti-shutdown policy proposal put forward by some members of the African community will offer a sustainable solution to the issue. While we share the same concerns as the proposals authors and welcome the community dialogue these are generated, we think this proposed policy will likely be ineffective and will create unintended damages. We are concerned that such a proposal will be difficult to implement and will take AFNIC beyond its technical mandate and expertise, as highlighted by AFNIC staff's assessment of the proposal. We are also concerned about this proposal might antagonize governments in a way that will worsen the situation as a whole. Finally, the proposal might also impact citizens' ability to access the internet beyond the government's entities targeted by the proposal. Instead, we are calling on African governments to renounce the use of internet shutdowns as a policy tool and to engage in meaningful dialogue with stakeholders. We understand the governments have legitimate concerns related to internet use and that they have obligations related to national security and public order. In the spirit of Voices Tunis agenda, the AF Stars are available to work with African governments and other stakeholders to find better solutions that do not hurt the fundamental rights of citizens and that protect the internet's stability, resilience, and openness. This is a statement offered by the AF Stars. Thank you.
Thank you, Abdallah. So the statement will be put on the Internet Summit website, both in French and in English. We continue. As you all know, AFRINIC meeting is held during the African Internet Summit. So our next AFRINIC meeting, the AFRINIC 27, will be in November in Nigeria. I'm now calling Mrs. Kemi Adeposi from Nigeria to give us a presentation of the next AFRINIC meeting in November.
Good day all. My name is Kemi Adepoju, and I work for an organization called the Nigerian Internet Registration Association, NIRA. Can I get my presentation up, please? Okay, so this presentation shall cover the following: an overview, some facts about Nigeria, the Nigerian Internet ecosystem, about the Nigerian Internet Registration Association, and benefits of hosting AFRINIC 27 in Nigeria. An overview. Nigeria is a country of hardworking, honest people. We are hospitable and... Thank you. I see there's a lot of Nigerians in the house. All fans of Nigeria. Okay. We are hospitable and ranked amongst the happiest people in the world. And I think this is obvious from our music, our movies, and everything. NIRA, the host organizer, has the capacity to host AFRINIC 27. We have the support of Nigerian people and the government. As the global business community continues to recognize Nigeria as Africa's largest market and #1 investment destination, it is pertinent to say it is the most populous country in Africa with the 5th strongest army. It is the biggest oil producer in the continent and the 10th in the world. Nigeria is a coastal country located in West Africa, sharing borders with Benin Republic, Cameroon, Chad, and Niger. For the record, Nigeria is known for its hospitality and entertainment industry. I think this was very evident during the gala night, because as soon as the Nigerian music stopped playing, I noticed a lot of people started going off stage. With democratically elected governments, it is an interesting mix of religion, diverse culture, and food that cut across over 250 ethnic societies. It boasts of a strong economic growth built around vast investment opportunities and various empowerment programs, with a level playing ground for business activities that is hinged on her motto, unity and faith. Can the Nigerians in the house please complete the motto? Unity and faith. Thank you. Following the global economic turnaround and the drop in oil prices, Nigeria has focused its attention on the technology sector as a core of its economic diversification strategy, and this contributes to nearly 11% of Nigeria's GDP. Key performance indicator in the technology sector includes the almost 152 million GSM subscribers, and approximately 90 million data subscribers. I think even the number of data subscribers in Nigeria is even more than the population of some countries. Interestingly, commercial activities in Nigeria are carried out by land, rail, water, and air transportation that enjoys 57 paved runway airports. And that's why you notice that majority of the states in Nigeria has an airport. A quick look at the Nigerian internet ecosystem. In the year 1995, Nigerian Internet Group was formed and conceived as a non-governmental organization with the aim to promote and facilitate full access to the internet in Nigeria. NIG was formed after the first internet workshop organized in Yaba College of Technology, one of the first institutions in Africa. Located in Lagos, the commercial nerve center of the country. Understanding the power of synergy, the leadership of NIG collaborated with a number of strategic organizations, including the Nigerian Communication Commission, National Data Bank, Literacy Training and Development for Africa, and University of Ibadan, to mention a few. Looking at the growth speed in the year 1996, the National Telecoms Regulator, NCC, which is represented here in this conference, so you might want to stand up for recognition if you're around. NCC licensed 38 internet service providers with the purpose to sell internet services in Nigeria. And a decade and a year later, the statistics show a clear sense of focus. With the installation of submarine cable connection and broadband connection, internet penetration and internet services in the country has improved tremendously. And to guarantee growth, the Internet Exchange Point was set up in Nigeria to interconnect various internet service providers and network operators to exchange traffic among their network and keep the internet communication local. This brought about a reduction in the price of internet in the country. Another broadband initiative during this period was the giant stride of the second national carrier, Globacom, that landed his Glo 1 submarine cable in the country. So a quick look at the company I work for, the Nigerian Internet Registration Association. The local host for Afrinic 27, NIRA, was founded in March 2005. NIRA is a non-for-profit organization charged with the management of the .ngccTLD. NIRA operates with the 3R model in the operations and management of the .ngccTLD. The operations of NIRA are governed by the NIRA policies. Representatives of NIRA have participated in several events such as Afrinic, ICANN, IGF, WAIGF, NIGF, GITEX, and more. NIRA also has 2 SPV, which it uses to get more closer to its community, which is the NIRA Academy that provides academic and educative support, and the Ndukwe Kalu Foundation, which is the corporate social responsibility of the organization. NIRA has hosted several events such as AFTLD 2013, AFDNS 2014, AFIGF 2014, Afrinic IPv6 training 2016, and others. We are quite experienced in organizing events, and every year we do a .ng awards that rewards people within our community that are using the .ng domain name. Let's review the key opportunities of hosting Afrinic 27 in Nigeria. For Afrinic, hosting Afrinic 27 meeting in Nigeria will boost the drive for migration to IPv6 in Nigeria and Africa at large. It will provide a platform for participants to explore the diverse investment opportunity in the country. It will provide financial, general, and government support for Afrinic meetings and strengthen the MOU signed with Afrinic in 2017 to develop and certify skills in INRM and IPv6 in Nigeria. Beyond the goodwill that will be harnessed, this event will further bring publicity to Afrinic in Nigeria, and participants will be able to explore the rich tourist attraction and culture of the country. For Nigeria, hosting Afrinic 27 will engender publicity and engagement drive in the implementation of IPv6, provide collaboratory opportunities with Nigerian businesses, and boost the tourism sector in the country. Of note is that Nigeria is set to host the United Nations World Tourism Organization Conference in 2018. This is an indication of the hospitality of Nigeria and its people. We are called the giants of Africa for a reason. We are called the giants of Africa for a reason. Nigeria also hosted the first United Nations SDG hackathon in March 2017. We were chosen due to the innovations and startup organizations within the country. It is pertinent to state here that Lagos is a relatively secure city in Nigeria. NIRA has good working relationship with Lagos State. It's quite safe. You can walk at 3 a.m. and feel quite secure. As long as you smile, you know we are happy people, you're fine. NIRA has good working relationship with Lagos State Police and other law enforcement agencies in the country. A dedicated travel agent, tripod travel agent, will provide dedicated services which include visa application, immigration assistance, and travel booking in and out of Nigeria. So this is not the end of the slide, by the way. So we thank you for choosing Nigeria to host the Afrinic 27. We have the capacity and the ability to do it. Just to feed your eyes on some of the tourist attractions that can be visited in Nigeria, knowing fully well that Nigeria is a coastal country, we have large expanse of beach. Our national stadium is what's showing on our national theater rather, is what's showing on the top right corner. The left top corner is the Olumo Rock, which you can actually live in the Olumo Rocks. And then the bottom is the Lekki Conservative Park. So some interesting facts about Nigeria. 28% of Forbes' richest African entrepreneurs are from Nigeria. So that's an indication of the strong economic growth and potential that is in the country. We are the third largest English-speaking nation in the world, after India and US. 33% of Nigerian, you don't think so? You just count our population. And the first language in Nigeria is English. We have quite a few Nigerians that speak French as well and other native language. Even if your English is broken, your English is not very clear, we tend to understand. And another interesting thing is that we are the third largest movie industry producers after Hollywood and Bollywood. The good thing about the entertainment industry in Nigeria is that it is facilitated by technology. The citizens of Nigeria has a large population of youths who are highly driven by technology. So if entertainment is your area of focus, Nigeria is the place to be. It's a very fast-growing country, and I think it will be a good investment opportunity. So the local language in Nigeria, apart from English, is Yoruba. So I say Ekabo, which means welcome. Welcome to the giants of Africa. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are looking forward to meet you all in Nigeria and discover this very great country. So I'll now call the next AIS. Yes? Are you from Nigeria? Okay.
Hello, my name is Vitus from Ghana. Nigeria, you have mouth, oh? You have mouth.
Thank you very much, Vitus, for that question. I'd like to answer the question, not really on behalf of Nigeria, but to emphasize that we are very, very modest people. What Kemi did not declare, and I would like to declare, is that I am the Chief Executive Officer of NIRA. So I thank Kemi for doing a very wonderful presentation, because I thought I was conflicted also being the chair of Afrinic. But I'd like to assure you, if you love Afrinic, you believe in Afrinic, I will take care of you in Nigeria. So welcome to Nigeria. And if there are any more questions, the box stops on my table. I'll take those questions.
Okay, so that will be for the next November 2017 meeting, the Afrinic meeting. So the next Africa Internet Summit, we also have great host. It will be in West Africa, in a very nice country that I love particularly. And I'll now call our future local host, Dr. Sherif Diallo, from the Ministry of ICT, to come and give the presentation for the next host of the Africa Internet Summit 2018.
Le Sénégal Sénégal, pays de longue tradition démocratique, confirme sa bonne réputation de terre d'accueil légendaire exprimée par la Teranga. Le Sénégal reçoit chaque année 800 000 visiteurs pour une capacité de 38 000 lits répartis dans 830 hôtels classés selon des normes internationales. L'Agence nationale de promotion du tourisme, l'ANPT, a été créée pour prendre en charge la vision du chef de l'État sénégalais, Maître Abdoulaye Wade, qui a l'ambition de promouvoir un tourisme haut de gamme, sain, guidé, respectueux de nos mœurs et profitable aux populations. Le Sénégal, c'est 700 km de côtes baignées par l'océan Atlantique, 300 jours de soleil par an, avec sa capitale Dakar à 5 heures de l'Europe et à 7 heures des États-Unis, capitale aux infrastructures routières et aéroportuaires mises au diapason des plus grandes villes du monde. Le Sénégal, c'est une destination balnéaire à laquelle s'ajoutent des produits touristiques nouveaux, comme l'écotourisme, la pêche sportive, le golf et le tourisme culturel. Le Sénégal offre aux investisseurs internationaux de l'industrie touristique un programme d'aménagement intéressant et séduisant confié à SAPCO Sénégal concernant des stations touristiques haut de gamme situées sur la petite côte. Le Sénégal met à la disposition des industries touristiques un hub de rencontres et de B2B à travers le Salon international du tourisme, des industries culturelles et de l'artisanat d'art, le TICA Dakar, véritable levier pour un tourisme durable. Le ministre du Tourisme et de l'Artisanat, l'Agence nationale de promotion du tourisme, l'ANPT, votre partenaire officiel pour la promotion de la destination Sénégal et l'ensemble des professionnels sénégalais du tourisme vous invitent à la 2e édition du TICA Dakar les 27, 28, 29 mai 2011. Bienvenue au Sénégal, militant de la Renaissance.
Be the most welcome to Senegal for TICA 27, which will be organized soon. Thank you. On attend la présentation. Si. La présentation. Ah, d'accord. D'accord.
Good afternoon, everybody. Bonjour tout le monde.
Good afternoon. We are very happy to welcome you in Senegal, where we'll have in Dakar the next summit, IS 2018, April 29, May 11. We have chosen this date in conformity with AFNOC for this period for Ramadan, because we wanted everything to be carried out before Ramadan. For make us a little bit ready for this summit. During this period, we do not have any international events, neither ICANN nor SNEs, so normally speaking, we'll not have any conflicting issue in terms of organizing the event. Senegal, as you have seen by this abstract video, is a very wonderful country in the west side of Africa, where it's located, and you have to leave east to move forward towards west, and with a population of 15 million inhabitants scattered in 14 regions, with the capital Dakar 6 hours from US and at least 5 hours from Europe. According to our population survey, we have 23 of people of the country concentrated in Dakar and 40% living in urban areas. Senegal is among the most stable countries in Africa, and this is expressed by the strengthening for democratic institutions since its independence since 1960. A constitutional referendum has been organized in March 2016 in order to organize the political system by reducing the mandate or the tenure for 5 years. We put in place territory councils. We have participation for independent candidature for any kind of election, even the process. But I think in presidential election in 2019, legislative election is in July 2017. In 2018, you'll have a year in 100% IAS where Senegal has to consecrate himself for IAS to welcome you there. Economic situation and social situation in Senegal is really favorably stable for 2 points, second best performance in West Africa, and fourth in a rank for sub-Saharan African countries. The growth for Senegal is the rate of 6% in 2016 and 2015. The most stake for development is the implementation of a emergent Senegal plan. The inequality level is below the average being registered in sub-Saharan Africa. We have geographical disparities, but we have 2 out of 3 living in poverty in a rural area, especially in the south parts of the country. The digital sector, which is most interesting, is the engine of the growth of the national economy. That's why the digital sector has been identified like a very strong pillar for growth in the emerging Senegal. We have a very strong governance with the Ministry of Post and Telecommunication and Ministry in charge for labor because it's providing support, administrative support and support to administrative independent entities. We have the Authority for Regulation for Post and National Advisory for Audiovisual and National Protection Entity for Personal Data. When you'll be in Dakar, you'll navigate in a very trustful, way, and your data will be well protected. For the Universal Fund for Telecommunication Services, National Commission for Cryptology, we have the Brigade Against Cybercrime, which is special brigade. They are doing a lot for against hacking, etc. And we actually boosting the personalization for these services. And beyond these institutional actors, Senegal is a country with in this digital sector, with the private sector being more present and very dynamic, with 300 small and SMEs, and we have 4 big operators, Sidatel, Santer, and 1 operator, Antigo as well, who having the license for a limited deployment in this region. We have 3 internet provider, Arc Informatique, WOW, Africa Access, Incubation Center for ICT in Dakar. This is a very good center helping young entrepreneurs to extend their companies and to develop their companies. And we can even notice the presence of the higher institution of telecommunication producing 800 engineers per year in the region of West Africa, and the organization of the private sector that we call Optic and different association for consumers. You see, Senegal for digital sector is well positioned, well organized and well dynamic, and we'll be very happy to welcome you to talk about IS during 2 weeks in May and April 2018. To complete for the digital sector, you need as well to understand that the penetration rate is for 100%, and this fixed penetration rate is still low, with a park of 280,000 lines, which is below 2%. We have penetration rate for internet service going above 50, something like 58%, with 8 million of subscribers. We have 635 liaison that can enable you to navigate with tranquility, with a good quality of services in Dakar. So you are most welcome to hold your highest summit in Dakar in 2018. Its capacity is offered, provided by a good fiber optic coverage with growth of 5 actors, the 5 major actors, which the Société Nationale de l'Électricité, which is giving a total of something like 9,000 kilometers of optic fiber with good coverage, and with the 3G and 4G actually covering the entire Dakar. For flagship projects in digital sector, for those one, you need to understand we have the adoption for Senegal digital strategy have been adopted in ministry. Senegal has a digital vision up to, because for 21 we have 69 projects for, how can I say, for a digital for all the users, and In Senegal, with the private sector very dynamic and innovative for performance ecosystem. For you, we can say for private companies that representing 1,361 for different investments simply in digital sector. This is a vision on 4 pillars: human capital, human trust, and etc. All of these just to target 4 strategic objectives: open access and affordable to the digital network service, very good connected administration to serve citizens and companies, and the promotion for digital industry, which is innovative, and we need to satisfy all the priority economic sectors. So you can see the strategic plan for Senegal for what we call the 25 or 25 in French. So I think that will be a good destination for your program. You can even notice the technology park that will be built in Diamniadio in 2018. This is a technology area or zone that will be put in place for good platforms to attract investments so that we can diversify the growth and in the country. And this is an investment for 50 billion francs CFA or CFA francs that will produce 35,000 new jobs built in 25 acres, but in 20 minutes of Dakar from the airport. So I think we can have some PPO center, data centers, and an incubator of startup, a new one model, and a research and study center for center of audiovisual, and a commercial center and a medical center, and residence for different people be working nearby. You can see yourself the vision for a digital, plan strategically is very dynamic, and we are within. Senegal is not only the digital perspective, is a Teranga country. We are not the giant of Africa. We are modest, humble, small. It's our specialty. Teranga is the hospitality. It means that you're the most welcome in our country. Will be our, receive with a cup of tea. You will visit very wonderful places like Ile de Gorée, and you can see the town center of Dakar. And all of this just simply to say that we have a political stability and a dynamism of diplomacy, making Senegal to be the most of the best destination in Africa. We've been attending different events and sub-regional in terms of ICT on different domain. We have different conference centers with, you see, we have a different big, you see, like Radisson Blu, Pullman Novotel, Terubi, King Fahad Palace, different big hotels, you see, and investors in this sector of tourism. We have International Center of Conference, Diamniadio, and called as well Centre de Conference Abdou Diouf. For Senegal, you can have the opportunity to visit wonderful area like Ile de Gorée, Lac Rose, or what they say, Parc de Jude, or Chute de Diane du Fiou. We organize ourselves with the operators. We'll try to organize some social events, maybe in the first week, one afternoon, on the second week, the second afternoon, we can move around. We have a big ecosystem with diversity. We have 6 national parks, 4 natural reserves, for example, Lac Rose and Pays Bassari, and you can even carry out some safari or touring in the game, etc. in Dakar.
Senegal, pays de la Teranga, de l'hospitalité.
Country of Teranga hospitality. You will be welcomed with this national meal. So, how we call this? Chebugina. Or these other meals that will be there during the week when we're participating in the AIS 2018. You are welcome in Dakar for 2018 AIS.
Nous remercions les organisateurs.
Thank you very much to the organizers for having ensured that this summit is a success. I would like to tell you that we are involved in AIS. We have a very strong delegation here. We have our colleague who is different colleagues who are here. We have different actors from Senegal who are here, and we would like to ask you to promote AIS and make it go higher. So come to Senegal to experience Teranga. That's why we came to support our brother here. We are so many Senegalese here. We do not have enough time to tell you everything. We are going to welcome you with open hands to get African solutions to African problems. Thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup. J'ai habité un an.
Thank you very much. I stayed in Dakar for 1 year, and it was wonderful.
Interesting. So, we're coming to an end. I'll call Dr. Nee and Alan Barrett to come into the closing ceremony. It was very nice, the 2 week. So we are coming to an end, and I'll call them on stage to say the closing remarks.
Hello. I'm not sure how to start, but I think the room is too silent, so I'll do my usual, if you allow me. AFNOG. Afrinic. Very good. Oh, good. No, it's not finished yet. Afrinic. AFNOG. Thank you very much. There comes a time when elders or fathers must try to clear the air. So I'll do that, and I'll do my best. If I don't succeed, blame me, not him, not AF Star. Okay. We have come to the end of AIS 2017. It's the 18th AFNOG event. I thank you all for making the event successful in spite of challenges we met here. This event may go down in history as an example of how not to host an AFNOG, where local host was unable to fulfill important obligations. It was one in which the failure also became a source of unfortunate, toxic untruths, stories about both AFNOG, Afrinic, and the AF Stars, the organizers of the AIS. Fortunately, we are very resilient and determined community and have been very successful nonetheless. I thank you for your efforts. Our mission is to build a strong internet technical community, and are very grateful for your participation, and you have enriched our community. We thank our sponsors for the continued support and helping AFNOG, Afrinic, AF Star grow. In particular, we'd like to thank the Ministry of ICT, CAK, ICTA, NSRC, O'Reilly, B-SAFE, Association of African Universities, African Union, KIXP, TechSPOC, and Liquid. Please share the network operator group spirit, and we wish our next host very, very successful event. Long live AF Star. Thank you very much. AFNOG.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much, Dr. Queno, for that closing. I'm also here to give a closing on behalf of AFRINIC. This has been a very exciting week. Lots of interesting discussions have taken place, both inside this room and in other rooms, and spread around the venue. It's great to see so much participation from the community. And I urge the community, or everybody in the community, to continue to participate, to say what you need to say. But I would urge you to address the proposals on the table for their own merits, rather than for the merits of the people who are putting forward those proposals. I see too often what seems to me like proposals being opposed or supported because you like the people or you don't like the people, rather than because of the merits. I would ask the community, please, to stop that, to please consider the proposal itself in all cases. The discussions about shutdowns have gone on in several venues, and we've come up with a statement that was read a few minutes ago. Personally, I support that, and the AFRINIC board has supported that statement. It should be on our website by now, or if not yet, then very soon this afternoon. I thank the local hosts, the Ministry of ICT and TESPOC for helping us to arrange this event. As Dr. Queno said, things did not always go very smoothly. There were some things that we had expected that didn't materialize. And I sent an email message to a mailing list a few days ago to say that don't worry about the problems you might have heard about. The event will still go through as planned. And it has. So thank you. I'd like to thank our other sponsors, Liquid Telecom for connectivity, the Communications Authority, the ICT Authority of Kenya, Footprint Africa Business Solutions, ICANN, Oracle, Affilius, UNESCO, Netflix, BCCW Global, CCOM, WEOC, the ZA Central Registry, ISOC, Safaricom, and Telkom Kenya. We could not do this without sponsors and supporters. Thank you very much. Everybody, please give a hand to our sponsors. Okay, so all that remains then is to remind me that I'd love to see you all in Lagos in November, or in Senegal in May next year, or both. Thanks very much.
But if it's in Nigeria, it's got to be .ng. .ng is the most widely accepted.
So Nigeria is trying to hijack my closing remarks. Okay. Okay, so we'll close with the video of Nigeria, telling how beautiful their country are, how warm their people are, and how good the food is. And we're looking for a tremendous November meeting. Thank you very much. A round of applause to you delegates, because without you, we cannot have successful meeting. Thank you. See you in November. See you in Senegal. AFRINIC en avant, AFNOG success.
Over the years, lots of domain names have entered the internet domain space, but if it's in Nigeria, it's got to be .ng. .ng is the most widely accepted and trusted country code top-level domain, CCTLD, in the world. .ng is the official country code for Nigeria. You can register your name directly under .ng or choose from one of its popular second-level domain extensions, such as .com.ng for commercial companies, .org.ng for not-for-profit organizations, .edu.ng for degree or diploma awarding educational institutions, .mobi.ng for mobile content and service providers, .sca.ng for non-degree and diploma awarding schools, .name.ng for personal websites and emails, .i.ng for interesting action names like trading and shopping, .net.ng for internet service providers, .gov.ng for federal and state ministries, departments and agencies, .mil.ng for the military. Now, if it's a web or email address ending in .ng, then you know it's trusted, locally relevant, globally accepted.